Hey Mimi, Big Brother Spoilers from Instagram here. So sad to see you leave last night. I really wanted you to go further. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing as well as an evicted house guest could be doing, but the consolation for me is that I get to see my husband after 65 long days. So, I'm looking forward to that.
So let's get right into it. During the week, it seemed like you had the votes, but they changed, leading to your eviction over Felicia. Can you share what you think influenced the House's decision, and do you think it was the right choice for the remaining players?
I don't think it was the right choice for the remaining players. To be honest with you, I know that I'm a fierce competitor. And I also know that I'm probably one of the most trustworthy people that was in that house. I didn't run around starting a lot of mess, telling a lot of secrets, or trying to create too much drama. And, for me, that's someone that I would like to be aligned with. I think the votes started to flip when there was a little birdie put in the air about my ability to win comps and how good of a social game that I had. Going into that week when Cameron told me that I would be on the block next to Mama Fee, he was very adamant that I would not be going home and that, everyone in the house loved me and, just how much, people love me and that they wouldn't vote me out. And I started to think, okay, I know I'm being told that I'm the pawn, but if Cameron is running around here saying, oh, well, let's get out Mama Fee because everybody loves Mimi. Don't you guys love Mimi? That probably would not work to my advantage. So can't say that I'm too surprised by the votes flipping, but obviously I wish that it wouldn't have happened.
At the start of the week, like you said, Cameron informed you that you were the pawn, yet you were evicted unanimously. Did you trust Cameron's assurance that you were merely a pawn, and who do you think betrayed you the most in the situation?
I never trusted Cameron's assurance that I was the pawn because Cameron had been evicted. So what does he know about safety while being on the block? And furthermore, he didn't have a vote that week. So how could he ensure me safety when he couldn't ensure it for himself? But sure, let's go with Cameron's theory that I wouldn't have been evicted and, I probably wouldn't have been sitting here talking to you. Who I believed at the time had betrayed me the most was Corey and America. I know that Corey had been at the center of many of vote flips, and I thought that this was no different. I really believe that it started to, for him at least, stem from, some of what Mama Fee was saying in the big blow up that she had with America in the kitchen. And my thought process was that his concern was that I felt similarly to that. And he also knew that I was a smart enough player to, even if I did feel that way, that I would not have come outright and say that to him, as opposed to Mama B, who kind of lays all of her cards on the table. I tend to hold mine very closely to my chest. So when I heard that the vote was starting to flip, I was sure that it was him, and for the reasons that I just mentioned.
So viewers noticed that you didn't campaign much to stay in the house. Can you share the reasoning behind this decision?
Honestly, once the Mama Fee blow up happened, I really thought that she started to dig a big hole for herself. Throughout the week, I was campaigning. I just wasn't campaigning, I think, in a way that people would have liked for me to have campaigned, right? Like I didn't go around making a whole bunch of promises, and saying a whole bunch of things that I knew I couldn't hold true, right? Like present me can't speak to what future me can do. I can only speak to, where I am and where I would like to be in this moment. And so, the entire week, there wasn't a day that had gone by where I wasn't campaigning or having conversations with people or trying to reassure them of their safety with me. And so, I probably didn't do it in a way where I was sitting down making all these big promises and trying to align myself with people, because that hadn't been my gameplay so far in the game. And I didn't want my strategy going into campaigning to be too much different from how I play the game, because I know that it wouldn't have seemed to be authentic. But, let the people know that the girl did campaign. Let's not start those nasty rumors.
As you left the house, you mentioned a potential alliance between Corey, America, and Bowie. What led you to believe this alliance existed, and what was your reasoning for calling them out?
Well, so I'd been having a conversation with America a few days prior, in which we were talking about what the path forward had looked like, right? She was just asking me, outside of myself and Corey, who do you trust the most in this house? And I was like, really? I don't trust anybody. And then she was like, well, Corey really trusts Bowie Jane. They have built a relationship. She looks to him as sort of an advisor. So I really don't want you to feel like you don't have anybody outside of us too. You should really talk to Bowie Jane and start to get to know Bowie Jane as you are doing your campaigning. And so I just thought it was interesting. And then, after we received the humiligrams a day or so ago, I saw Corey, America, and Bowie Jane doing some studying. As I was packing my things up, Bowie Jane and America were in the room studying. And I know that Jag, Blue, and Matt obviously are in alliance together and potentially have final twos, final threes with one another. And I also know that Jag has a close relationship with Corey, and Corey has an indifferent relationship with Matt and Blue. And Blue also has an indifferent relationship with America. So I just decided to, throw some shade in there, tell a little bit of a white lie, possibly cause an already fragile relationship between these two sides to become even more fragile. And let's see what happens.
And had you remained in the house and become the HOH, who do you think you would have targeted?
Had I remained in the house and won HOH this week, I definitely would have put Matt and Jag on the block. I've been saying it for weeks, even when people were having conversations about putting Jared and Tari up. Of course, I was, acting like I would have been complicit in it, like, yeah, of course, let's do that. But had I won HOH, I actually wouldn't have put Jared and Tari up. I would have put Matt and Jag up, and it would have been the same for me going into this week. Obviously, they are two very strong competitors. They are well-liked and well-received in the house. And obviously Cameron being the target is a convenient characterization. But I would have used, putting Jag and Matt on the block as bait to align myself with Cameron had I won.
Throughout your 65-day stay in the house, you didn't secure any competition wins. Was that a deliberate strategy to throw competitions at any point during the game?
Oh, absolutely not. I never threw a competition. There was not one competition that I went in where I didn't think that I could win or where I didn't try my hardest to win. I think my worst comp probably was the last HOH. We come in pieces. I just could not get that puzzle together. But every comp that I went into, I always tried to give it my all. Honestly, on TV, they look a lot easier than they really are. And you couple that with, the pressure that you feel to not just do well, but to actually win. Winning is the only safety that you have in this game, and having power is the only way that you can actually establish dominance and show your hand and show people you mean what you say and you are aligned where you say that you're aligned. So there was not one competition that I went into where I wasn't at least trying to win. I came close a couple times, but just couldn't get it done, unfortunately.
So despite your low-key gameplay, you became the target in the house this week. Do you have any regrets about not being more actively involved in the game?
Yeah, obviously, if I could go back and do a few things differently, I obviously would. But my strategy coming into the house was always to play a low-key game. I have spent my entire career in politics, and I know that when you are seen as the mastermind or seen as someone who is in a position of power, that it is very threatening. Capitol Hill is very fragile. Politics is very fragile, as is the Big Brother house. So I never wanted to come in and be seen as someone who was a strong strategist or a great mastermind. And when I wasn't winning early on, even when I really wanted to, although I felt terrible and obviously wanted to win, I didn't think that it was the worst thing possible, because Heisen was targeted after his 3 wins. Riley had 1 win. It was targeted. Izzy didn't really have any wins, but was also targeted just because, she ran around being active in so many things. So, you are kind of darned if you do, you're darned if you don't in this house. You go in with an idea of how you would like to play the game, but there are just so many variables that you can't account for. So you really just have to navigate it with your gut. And that's what I tried to do all season.
What hindered you from putting in more effort to cultivate relationships within the house? And are there any specific house guests you intend to stay connected with after the game?
I intend to stay connected with all of the house guests after the game. I mean, they are a fabulous cast, a bunch of quirky personalities who really were a ball of fun. For me, starting this game, I started early on with the professors, or what became the professors, and then the Brown Sugar Babes. And I really was loyal to the Brown Sugar Babes, and I really did believe in that alliance, and I wanted us to go far. And then once the Izzy and Felicia flip happened, it really just kind of put me in disarray. I didn't really know who I could trust. And at that time, you had the Jag, Blue, and Matt trio. You had Corey and America as a trio. You had Cameron and Bowie Jane as a trio, and also saw Sari and Felicia I have to say trios when I mean duos, and I also saw Izzy and Felicia as a duo as well. So, there were so many pockets in which I just didn't feel like I fit perfectly in, but I did feel like I had good enough established relationships with everyone in the house where they didn't see me or perceive me to be threatening. So I really wanted to lean into that as opposed to strongly aligning myself with anyone.
What was your strategy to reach the end game, and who are your preferred allies to progress far in the game with?
My preferred allies navigating the remainder of the game definitely would have been Cameron. I also would have liked to align myself with Blue as well as Sari. I know that Matt and Jag, if they sit in those final two chairs, it's a strong possibility that they win. So obviously they would have been huge targets for me. Boy Jane, I just never felt close to her in that way. And I honestly never trusted Corey or America. So, if I had to move forward with anyone in the game, it definitely would have been, as well as Mama Fee. I love Mama Fee, but to be honest with you, she was explosive. She was a firecracker. And sometimes I felt like she said more than was necessary. So I knew that at some point that would probably come to my detriment. But if I had to move forward in the game with anybody, had I stayed in the house, it definitely would have been Sari, Baloo, and Cameron.
In your opinion, who has the best chance at winning the game, and who would you personally like to see emerge as the winner?
Who I think has the best chance of winning the game, I'm going to have to go with Matt. Obviously, he's an Olympian and a strong competitor. He hasn't won that much this season, but we know that he has an affinity for winning. So I can see him doing very well in, the remaining HOHs and veto comps. And I also just think that he's well liked. Like everyone rallies around Matt. He's well received in the house. There hasn't been a day in the house where I've heard one bad thing about Matt. So I can definitely see him making it toward the end of this game. Jag has always been in a very vulnerable position. I think more recently he's found himself in a more calm and steady position in the house. But I do see, the end game being very rocky for him. If I had to see anyone sitting next to Matt, I think it would be Sari. But I think if they let Cameron escape this week, then he may just finesse his way to one of those final two chairs. They're not careful.
And last question, your personal rants in the storage room have become a fan favorite and topic conversation. Did you anticipate that these moments would become iconic during your time in the show?
Oh, absolutely not. To be honest with you, the storage room was the only place that I found solace in the house. And it was the only place where I could say out loud all of the things that I thought in my head without offending anybody or without fear that it would get out and be used against me as ammunition. I know people say, you played a very low key game, and why weren't you more involved? And why didn't you align yourself and tell people more of what you were thinking and assert yourself more? It's because the house is a leaky faucet. I heard everything that was happening in the house. Everyone else heard everything that was happening in the house. And the only way that I heard it is because somebody told me that somebody had said something. And so in my mind, I'm not saying anything to anybody because I don't want to give them any ammunition to use against me. And so the storage room is where I found peace and where I really felt like I can be the most authentic version of myself in terms of how I thought the game should have been being played in some of those more frantic and hectic times.
All right, Mimi, I know you have a lot of interviews today to get to, so thanks for making time to chat with me.
Thanks so much, Josh.
Thank you.